Cool. Hello. Hey, thank you for doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh, likewise. Always love when I see you pop up in anything, and I especially love when it's something that is a little different. Like my favorite performance of yours is the vicious kind.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
And I think, you can kind of do this with anyone, but I think especially with you, if I showed someone that and X and hooking up and this movie, they would be like confused in the best way of just like, well, I don't know what kind of movie does she make? And I think that's exciting when it's like,
Oh,
no, good
that's
movie
great.
answer. Um, and
Thank
I,
you.
I was so impressed with you in this film just because you guys, especially the brother sister dynamic, is so lived in and realistic and messy in a way that I only see when I'm dealing with my own sister. Like
That is a great compliment. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah. When I spoke to David last week, I told him it was oddly a movie I was not looking forward to because I had gone through basically the same thing like a few months before. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I
Yeah.
that, and then a week later was Sundance. So I just went through all the movies that were like a guy loses his nope. After the death of it, nope, not doing that. But Tribeca, I was like, I like so many people in this movie, and I like Robert's movies.
Uh-huh.
I could always just turn it off. No one would be mad at me if I did. And like within a couple minutes, I'm like, oh wait, is a writer going through this? Oh great, okay, we're just gonna power through. And the way you guys will argue and then just on a dime turn to like, oh, we have to now deal with something, and we're suddenly a unit. It was so well realized, and I'm curious how you do that. I'm sure a lot of it's on the page, but you have to kind of figure out how do we, for lack of a better word, how do you fake having a back and forth with someone? You're simulating 30 years worth of bickering, and someone you presumably also like.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think thank you for that. I think it was very true to the script that it was written in that way. I really liked how the dynamic sort of, like you just said, sort of ebbed and flowed in terms of if they needed to get something done, that was the focal point of the scene, but also there was this undercurrent, this sort of like tea kettle that was always sort of in the background, that there was unresolved dynamics that they never were going to talk about. And I really think that that's true to family in general. I know for mine, it's there's more that's unsaid than there's anything said. And I think families are excellent at that. And I think what Nick and I really tried to do was sort of um we already liked each other and we knew each other somewhat. I gave him a Teen Choice Award when I was like 23. So we had met a couple of times. It's so random. But we didn't really get to a place where we were super comfortable with each other. And I think that really helped the story because there was sort of that little built-in tension that we didn't know each other that well, although we had experiences where we had met a few times. So we sort of liked that dynamic going into our scenes. And then luckily, as we progressed in the movie, we also progressed our relationship. So by the end of the movie, that was sort of the end of filming. And that hug at the end that you see between me and Nick, we had already had an experience of filming the movie, and we really genuinely liked each other. So it was nice. Or I hope he
Yeah.
liked me, but I liked him. Yeah.
At least half that's done. No, and I think it's true. If you don't, it's so much harder if you're not getting along with someone to simulate not liking them. I think if you don't, because you're not like, if you don't, most people, if you don't like someone, you just don't want to deal with them, right? I'd rather not be in the room with this person. And if you like someone, it's more fun to play. And I think, there is that sense of, you never feel like they don't like each other, right? You always feel like there's a frustration and you're not getting what you want out of him, and he's not giving you what you need, and it's very relatable because everybody in the movie, and David's character included, like they're all going through a similar experience very differently, and nobody likes the way anyone else is handling it, and
Yeah.
that's so relatable, and I think also just makes you willing to let everyone have such a different perspective, because normally same with family, you choose sides and you're like, oh, I think I'm on that side, but you
Mm.
give everyone a break. And the movie's so good at that of like, there's no one you can really dislike just because they're all handling it equally poorly in different ways, but also like legitimately think this is the only way I can do it. And it's
Yes.
done in such a like pleasurable way too, that it's like I just imagine how it must feel to be doing it and know it's going well. Because I mean, this is like the kind of movie that could go really poorly if everyone's in a different movie.
That's very true. The tone was very clear for us, I think, due to Brett Ryland's writing and also Robert being at the helm and being the director. But you know, the tone is kind of complicated because there's scenes like David introducing us to the priest and the comedy of the priest and the house. I don't know whose computer this is. I'm so sorry that it's doing this.
Don't
But what I love about that scene is that although David gets to be David Arquette, and be hilarious, and the set pieces are already sort of a heightened situation anyway, the connection and the relationship that Ren and Lee have, which is that they're checking in with each other, although they're at a discord, like that relationship is the sort of bottom line of the scene. And I think that that sort of those little pieces are what really give this movie the texture that it needed, is that they might be disagreeing about everything and they might be going through their grief completely differently, but at the end of the day, they are brother and sister and they're going to check in with each other. And that's what's so funny, is that we're on the same team, even though we're going through different things.
the tag team element of that, I don't think any other movie would have thought to do, let alone do it that well. And also you watch it and go, that is kind of how it works. That is what this situation would entail, at least for me, because I'm weird and my family's weird. Like it's more relatable than I think. The reason why we don't see this in so many movies, I think nobody thinks that other families go through it. And it takes watching a movie like this to be like, no, this is pretty common. It's the real like overly dramatic movie style one that nobody has. That's the weird one. We just think that's what everyone goes through. That's why these movies exist.
And I think that what's really great about this movie too is it doesn't push that narrative either. It doesn't make the characters caricatures of weird family dynamics. It's just sort of grounded in the dynamics. We don't have to be certain types of people because you know these people already. It's very true to real life and how they relationally get along. But yes, I agree. I think that everything was really grounded in reality with them, and so that's where the comedy comes in as well, because you believe these dynamics and nothing is forced.
Well, how do you backing up just a tiny bit? How do you decide it's something you want to do? Because you can read a script and go, it's good, and go, well, I don't know if I'm right for it, or I don't know if I'm in that headspace. Like it can just be something as simple as like that just doesn't sound like fun to me. Or it can be is obviously not this film, but you can go, I don't know if this is the best thing ever made, but like it sounds like a real good time, and like that sounds like what I want to be doing with my time, because it is like the job should be fun, right? It can be hard, but like you should be having a good time. You should be excited to go to work because it's make pretend like it's the best thing you can possibly be doing, and then when they pay you, it's like, wait, you still do this? But like, how do you
Yeah.
balance everything out? Because like I said earlier, like you choose such interesting things. How do you figure out the right mix to, be good for you, good for the movie, and also just good for like life? Because who wants to go home miserable every day?
That's such a good point and so true to how I pick movies. I think I look at it in sort of that diagram in a way of, can I do this? Am I right for this? Can I wake up every morning really inspired to feel like I can bring something that's a part of me? Because although it's such the highest compliment when people say like, "Oh, you were in that movie, that movie, and you look so different or you act so differently," because I think for me, they're all facets of my personality and they're all pieces of me. I just sort of like highlight them in different ways and sort of go into different parts of my life and make it broader or bigger. And so all of these characters are sort of things that I've dealt with, and that's how I usually pick what
No.
I want to do is there something in my life that I need to therapeutically go through or look at or be a part of because I think that this is something that I can add to or need to flesh out in my own life. And with this one specifically, I was going through another form of grief when I got this script, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity to explore grief and in a different way. I don't know whose computer this is, but I just exited out of. I hope she doesn't need her messages. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. First of all, I think you're allowed to even so. But like your point is really true. Like, you get paid to go to therapy if you want. Like
Yeah.
that's a very rare feat. But I think it's also true. Like you can go, okay, I want to be in that headspace. That sounds great. Or here's a person I'm not. Or here's what I'm worried people would think. Like I think with X is a great example of like there's a veiner like I want to be a movie star. You're like you can worry that someone would think that about you and go like, well, if I play that and I make it extreme and it's in a genre film, I'm having fun with it. That makes me feel more at ease. If I'm first day on set, and I don't know people, they don't know that I'm cool like that it's kind of like going to camp and school the first day. Like you want everyone to get along, you want everyone to know that like I'm cool. Like, and I think the hardest roles you've done, I think you look at who's with you, it's true. It's just like these people are like, of course you can go to like a dark depressing place with J.K. Simmons or Adam Scott. Like that seems like good dudes to do it with, or like having like romantic dramedy thing with Sam Richardson. These are people like they just seem like they'll be good times, and like and also good actors. Like I think it speaks to, like you said, knowing the whole sort of setup, and here just everyone involved being in it in the right way and seeing the movie for what it is. It doesn't happen every.
That's very true. And I think that I do look at that when I sign on to something, is who am I going to be going to camp with every day? And do I believe in this character enough to be grounded in it? I mean, a good example is X. Like, I don't I never saw her as a caricature or someone who was needing to be anyone or anything. She was just her. And I believed in her, and I believed in this sort of her wanting a bigger life than herself. And I think that's what Ty told me he liked about my audition when I auditioned for it, was that I wasn't putting on a performance. I just was this girl. And I think that with Vicious Kind as well, or Hooking Up, I think that I choose people to work with that are grounded in why they want to do it, and their performances also sort of come along with that. Also, they're just really good people, and this was no different. I mean, everyone involved in this movie was a great human being, and I think that's what makes it a great time, is you're learning from people and getting to have fun.
There you hear about the people who don't have a good time on set, and like sometimes people will talk about it, just like that must be the worst thing possible because you can't have the same amount of fun. Plus, you just start worrying like, why does that person who has no reason not to be delighted by life, why are they in a pissy mood? Like, why it becomes that like, what am I doing wrong? It must be me. It has to be me. It can't be that that they're just unhappy. Like it's and
Are
vice.
these my therapy sessions? Because that's exactly my manager is laughing. That's exactly what happens to me, is I'm like, it has to be me. It has to be my fault.
Everyone was wait until I showed up somehow. What went wrong? No, that's welcome to my life every day. But no, it's true. And that's why I think when something goes right, it's such a memorable experience for everyone, because it's insane. Any movie gets made, like somebody pays money. Everyone has a different picture in their head of a movie, and somehow they all kind of figure out the one that'll work. But then even just to show up and be like, this guy imagined a movie. This other person is going to take that imagination and put it on screen. I'm going to pretend to be one of those characters while other people are pretending to be different ones, and we're going to like figure out a way to make it all work. It is insane that everybody just doesn't cry and scream at each other all day long. So I feel like you can tell. I don't think there's a lot of bad movies where people have the best time possible. There are good movies where people have miserable times, but I think the worst time you have.
Been in a few bad movies where I had a great time.
Yeah, well, you can have a good time on a bad movie because you're like, it's fun. We're having a good time. Nobody's going to like this eventually.
Nobody's gonna watch it, or you hope nobody's gonna watch it. But that's very true.
Exactly. But like, if you're having a bad time, I think the audience can tell. I think that's the thing about this movie is everybody is sad, but everybody is a three-dimensional character. And you sense that they're only sad. You get the sense of they're dealing with sadness. And I think that's why I was able to watch it, because I was like, I'm trying to figure out how to deal with sadness. They're all figuring it out. And I kind of, you feel seen in a weird way that like when a movie works, you kind of feel like you're related to it. And it's a high praise situation, but it's just, you guys did such a good job with it.
That's very, very sweet and very nice that you felt that, because I agree. It's you can definitely tell the difference between characters that are just sad or just happy or just this one-dimensional sort of um descriptor of how you deal with grief. But I think that they are trying to figure it out, and I think everyone is in a way. I'm not sure if you ever figure out grief or mental health in general, or and so I think that that's been a really cool part of this press journey, and also getting to do the movie, is that everyone came with a story or something that they related to or something that they were connecting with, and it made you feel like we were a part of something bigger. And I think that added to the happiness on set too, is that we knew that we were doing something that like a lot of people would be able to feel seen by.
No, it's a real unifying thing, and also just a fun, good movie with a bunch of amazing actors. So it's amazing and something to be proud of. And I'm thrilled to finally get a chance to talk to you. And I can't wait to do it again. But thank you so much for doing this, and then thank you for the film. I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Thank you. And I'm so sorry about your loss, but I'm glad the movie was helpful.
Oh, well, listen, it was a period of time in which I didn't go. The ocean's right there. I could walk into that. That'd be cool.
Yep. Yep. Totally.
Yeah, it's we all know it. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, and I can't wait to see what's next. I love when you pop up in anything.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Joey.